We are in the book of Amos. The words of Amos, who was among the herdsmen of Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, sovereign of Yehuda, and in the days of Jeroboam, son of Joash, sovereign of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. And he said, Yahweh roars from Sion, and gives forth his voice from Jerusalem, and the pastures of the shepherds shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither. Thus saith Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Damasek, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they threshed Gilad with threshing implements of iron. But I shall send fire upon the house of Hazael, and it shall consume the palaces of Ben-Hadad. And I shall break the bar of Damasek, and cut off the inhabitant from the valley of Ewin. And the one, who holds the scepter from Beth Eden, and the people of Aram shall go exiled to Kir, said Yahweh. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Azah, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they took into exile an entire exile to surrender it to Edom. But I shall send fire upon the wall of Azah, and it shall consume its palaces. And I shall cut off the inhabitant from Ashad, and the one who holds the scepter from Ashkelon, and shall turn my hand against Ekron. And the remnant of the Philistines shall perish, said the Master Yahweh. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Sor, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they surrendered an entire exile to Edom, and did not remember the brotherly covenant. But I shall send fire upon the wall of Tor, and it shall consume its palaces. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because he pursued his brother with the sword, and cast off all compassion, and his displeasure tore incessantly, and he kept his wrath forever. But I shall send fire upon Timan, and it shall consume the palaces of Bashra. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they ripped open the pregnant woman in Gilad to enlarge their border. So I shall kindle a fire upon the wall of Rabbah, and it shall consume its palaces, with a shout in the day of battle, with a storm in the day of the whirlwind. And their sovereign shall go into exile, he and his heads together, said Yahweh. Chapter 2. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Moab, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because he burned the bones of the sovereign of Edom to lime. But I shall send fire upon Moab, and it shall consume the palaces of Kerioth. And Moab shall die amid uproar, with a cry, and with the voice of a shofar. And I shall cut off the judge from its midst, and kill all its heads with him, said Yahweh. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Yehuda, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they have rejected the Torah of Yahweh, and did not guard his laws, and their lies after which their fathers walked led them astray. But I shall send fire upon Yehuda, and it shall consume the palaces of Jerusalem. Thus said Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Israel, and for 4 I do not turn it back, because they sell the righteous for silver, and the poor for a pair of sandals, who crush the head of the poor ones in the dust of the earth, and turn aside the way of the meek. And a man and his father go in to the same girl to defile my set-apart name. And they lie down by every slaughter place on garments taken in pledge. And in the house of their mighty one they drink the wine of those who have been fined. Yes, I destroyed the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars, and he was as strong as the oaks. Yet I destroyed his fruit from above and his roots from beneath. And I brought you up from the land of Mitzrayim and led you 40 years through the wilderness to possess a land of the Amorite. And I raised up some of your sons as prophets, and some of your young men as Nazirites. Not so, O you children of Israel, declares Yahweh, but you made the Nazirites drink wine, and commanded the prophets, saying, do not prophesy. See, I am weighed down by you, as a wagon is weighed down when filled with sheaves, and a place to flee shall perish from the swift, and the strong not fortify his power, and the mighty not save his life, and he who handles the bow not stand, and the swift of foot not save, nor he who rides a horse save his life. And the one potent of his heart among the mighty flee naked in that day, declares Yahweh. Chapter 3. Hear this word that Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the entire clan which I brought up from the land of Mitzrayim, saying, you alone have I known of all the clans of the earth. Therefore I punish you for all your crookedness. Would two walk together without having met? Does a lion roar in the forest when he has no prey? Does a young lion give forth his voice out of his den unless he has caught? Does a bird fall into a snare on the earth where there is no trap for it? Does a snare spring up from the earth if it has not captured prey? If a shofar is blown in a city, do the people not tremble? If there is a calamity in a city, shall not Yahweh have done it? For the Master Yahweh does no matter unless he reveals his secret to his servants, the prophets. A lion has roared, who is not afraid? The Master Yahweh has spoken, who would not prophesy? Cry out at the palaces in Ashdod, and at the palaces in the land of Mitzrayim, and say, gather on the mountains of Shomeron, and see the many unrests in her midst, and the oppressed ones within her. But they do not know to do what is right, declares Yahweh, these who store up the plunder and loot in their places, or in their palaces. Therefore thus said the Master Yahweh, an enemy even all around the land, and he shall bring down your strength from you, and your palaces shall be plundered. Thus said Yahweh, as a shepherd rescues from the mouth of a lion 2 legs, or a piece of an ear, so are the children of Israel who dwell in Shomeron to be rescued, in the corner of a bed and on the edge of a couch. Hear the witness against the house of Jacob, declares the Master Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts. For in the day I visit Israel for their transgressions. Excuse me. I shall strike the winter house along with the summer house, and the houses of ivory shall perish, and the great house shall be swept away, declares Yahweh. For in the day I visit Israel for their transgression, I shall also punish concerning the slaughter places of Beth-el, and the horns of the slaughter place shall be broken, and they shall fall to the ground. And I shall strike the winter house along with the summer house, and the houses of ivory shall perish, and the great houses shall be swept away, declares Yahweh. Chapter 4, hear this word, you cows of Bashan, who are on the mountains of Shomeron, who are oppressing the poor, who are crushing the needy, who are saying to their masters, bring wine, let us drink. The Master Yahweh has sworn by his set apartness, see, days are coming upon you, when he shall take you away with hooks, and your descendants with fish hooks, and let you go out in the breaches. And each woman before her you shall be cast out towards Harmon, declares Yahweh. Come to Beth-el and transgress, to Gilgal, increase transgression, and bring your slaughterings every morning, your tithes every 3 days, and burn an offering of thanksgiving with leaven. Proclaim voluntary offerings loudly, for you have loved this, you children of Israel, declares the Master Yahweh. And I also gave you cleanness of teeth in all your cities, and lack of bread in all your places. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. And I also withheld rain from you 3 new moons before the harvest. Then I would send rain on one city, and on another city I would not send rain. One part was rained upon, where it did not rain, the part would dry up. Then 2 or 3 cities would wander to another city to drink water, but they were not satisfied. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. I have stricken you with blight and with mildew. The creeping locust devoured your many gardens, and your vineyard, and your fig trees, and your olive trees. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. I have sent among you a plague in the way of Mitzrayim. I have killed your young men with the sword, along with your captured horses, and I make the stench of your camps come up into your nostrils. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. I have overthrown some of you, as Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and you were like a burning stick plucked from the burning. But you did not turn back to me, declares Yahweh. Therefore I am doing this to you, O Israel, and because I do this to you, prepare to meet your Elohim, O Israel. For look, he who forms mountains and creates the wind, and who declares to man what his thought is, and makes the morning darkness, and who treads the high places of the earth, Yahweh Elohim of hosts is his name. Chapter 5. Hear this word which I take up against you, this lamentation, O house of Israel. The maiden of Israel is fallen, not to rise again. She lies forsaken on her land, with no one to lift her up. For thus said the Master Yahweh, the city that goes out by 1,000 has 100 left, and that which goes out by 100 has 10 left to the house of Israel. For thus said Yahweh to the house of Israel, seek me and live. But do not seek Beth El, nor enter Gilgal, nor pass over to Beersheba, for Gilgal shall certainly go into exile, and Beth El become a non-entity. Seek Yahweh and live, lest he break out like fire upon the house of Joseph, and shall consume it with no one to quench it in Beth El. O you who are turning right ruling to wormwood, and have cast down righteousness to the earth, he who made Kimah and Kesel, and who turns the shadow of death into morning, and darkened day into night, who is calling for the waters of the sea and pours them out on the face of the earth, Yahweh is his name, who is flashing forth destruction upon the strong, so that destruction comes upon the stronghold. They hated the one who reproves in the gate, and they despised the one who speaks the truth. Therefore, because you trample on the poor and take grain taxes from him, you have built houses of hewn stone, but you are not going to dwell in them. You have planted pleasant vineyards, but not drink wine from them. For I know your transgressions are many, and your sins are great, afflicting the righteous, and accepting bribes, and turning aside the poor at the gate. Therefore the wise keep silent at the time, for it is an evil time. Seek good and not evil, so that you live. And let Yahweh Elohim of hosts be with you. As you have spoken, hate evil and love good, and set up right ruling in the gate. It might be that Yahweh Elohim of hosts shows favor to the remnant of Joseph. Therefore Yahweh Elohim of hosts, Yahweh said this, there is wailing in all open squares, and in all the streets they say, alas, alas, and shall call the farmer to mourning, and skilled lamenters to wailing. And in the vineyards there is wailing, for I pass through your midst, said Yahweh. Woe to you who are longing for the day of Yahweh. What does the day of Yahweh mean to you? It is darkness and not light, as when a man flees from a lion, and a bear shall meet him, or entered his house, rested his hand on the wall, and a serpent shall bite him. Is not the day of Yahweh darkness and not light? Is it not very dark, with no brightness in it? I have despised your festivals, and am not pleased with your assemblies. Though you offer me ascending offerings and your grain offerings, I do not accept them, nor do I look on your fattened peace offerings. Take away from me the noise of your songs, for I do not hear the sound of your stringed instruments. And let right ruling roll on like water, and righteousness like mighty stream. You brought me slaughterings and meal offerings in the wilderness for 40 years, O house of Israel. But you took up Shekuth, your sovereign, and Kiun, your idols, your astral mighty ones, which you made yourselves. Therefore I shall send you into exile beyond Damasek, said Yahweh. Elohim of hosts is his name.